Hi all, we are Pte4Sure. We are providing complete training to successfully crack PTE Exam with your desired score. We will provide you tips and tricks to get 65 and 79 in PTE. After enrolling, our course's material would be provided online. For more information, kindly contact through WhatsApp or other details mentioned in the video.
The key to forming strong brain architecture is what's known as serve and return interaction with adults. In this developmental game, new neural connections form in the brain as young children instinctively serve through babbling, facial expressions, and gestures, and adults return the serve, responding in a very directed, meaningful way. It starts very early in life when a baby cues and the adult interacts and directs the baby's attention to a face or hand. This interaction forms the foundation of brain architecture upon which all future development will be built. It helps create neural connections between all the different areas of the brain, building the emotional and cognitive skills children need in life. For example, here's how it works for literacy and language skills. When the baby sees an object, the adult says its name. This makes connections in the baby's brain between particular sounds and their corresponding objects. Later, adults show young children that those objects and sounds can also be represented by marks on a page. With continued support from adults, children then learn how to decipher writing and, eventually, to write themselves. Each stage builds on what came before. Ensuring that children have adult caregivers who consistently engage in serve and return interaction, beginning in infancy, builds the foundation in the brain for all learning, behavior, and health that follow.
The brain is basically built from the bottom up. First, the brain builds basic circuits that are responsible for basic skills. And then more complex circuits are built on top of those basic circuits as we develop more complex skills. Biologically, the brain is prepared to be shaped by experience. It's expecting the experiences that a young child has to literally influence the formation of its circuitry. It's built into our biology. The interaction between genetics and experience that shapes brain architecture is embedded in the reciprocal relationship, the relationships that children have with the adults in their lives. And by that, we mean what we refer to as the serve and return. The nature of children's interaction with their own adults' development and the impact of experience on development is not a one-way street, it's a back-and-forth interaction. The brain is a highly integrated organ which has multiple sections that specialize in different kinds of processes. So we have parts of the brain that are involved more in cognitive function and other parts that are involved in processing of emotion and parts involved in seeing and hearing. So, if a child is emotionally kind of well put together and socially competent, that will affect more positive and productive learning. And if a child is preoccupied with fears or anxiety or is dealing with considerable stress, no matter how intellectually gifted that child might be, his or her learning is going to be impaired by that kind of emotional interference. This illustration often used is the one that the monkeys and the typewriters. Okay, we have a monkey sitting at a typewriter and the claim here is basically if you leave chance and time long enough you will get life. Don't worry about it. Yes, it's strange, yes, it's wonderful, but leave enough matter 600 million years on Earth and you will have life. So, the monkey sitting at the typewriter, the chances are eventually he produces the complete works of Shakespeare, so what's the problem? So, there's no problem. There's no issue, right? You just leave it long enough and you'll find. And 1 key striker seconds, the monkey might well eventually get to you the complete works of Shakespeare, but he doesn't manage to do it in 600 million years. So, what I decided to do was to run the numbers. Instead of typing the complete work of Shakespeare, I just run the numbers for how long would it take a monkey typing one key striker a second. To type to be or not to be, that is the question. Right? On average, how long is it going to take my monkey friend one keystroke a second? I don't know how you think it would be. Maybe you could have a guess. Would it be less or more than 600 million years, which is the period life on Earth isn't supposed to have emerged within? And when I run the numbers to be or not to be, is the question takes 12.6 trillion years to type just that phase, and a DNA string has got as much as information the Encyclopedia Britannica. Are we saying that something of that complexity emerges by chance undirected within 600 million years? Again.
So the way a mother rat takes care of its pups is by licking and grooming, nipple switching and arch-back nursing. So the rats that do a lot of licking and grooming, and their last rats that drool very little. But most rats are in between. So that resembles a human behaviors as well, right? You have mothers that are highly mothering and mothers that couldn't care less, and most mothers are somewhere in between. So if you look at these rats, so all you do, you observe them and put them in separate cages. So you put the high lickers in one cage, not the mothers, but the offspring and the low lickers in another cage, and then you let them grow and they're adults now. Their mothers are long buried, and you look in the brain and you see that those who had high licking mothers express a lot of glucocorticoid receptor gene, and those who are lawmakers express node that reflects a number of factors and that results in a different stress response. But this is not the only difference. We found later on there are hundreds of genes that are differently expressed. So if you get in a mutation, you know polymorphism once in a million. Here, just the motherly launching just hundreds of genes in one shot, and it changes them in a very stable way that you can look at the old rat and you can say whether it was licked or not. But you can also save by behavior. So if you walk to the cages to the room, the rats that were poorly lit are highly anxious, hard to handle, aggressive, and the rats that were very well handled as little pups. They are much more relaxed, much easier to handle. So you know, like every technician in the lab knows looking at the adult rat how it was licked when it was a little tough. Any question, of course, mechanism, how does this work? I marveled at how often powerful feel powerless, but in the face of this sense of disempowerment, there's no decline in involvement in organizations which seek to share wealth and opportunities, protect one another's rights, and work towards the common good. According to the United Nations, civil society groups have grown 40-fold since the turn of last century. Internationally, the nonprofit sector is worth $1 trillion, and there are 700,000 such organizations in Australia alone. The UN recognizes 3,700 specifically civil society organizations across the globe, and gave 3,500 accreditations to the 2002 World Summit on Sustainable Development. This profound movement towards harnessing voices and resources from outside the realm of governments and officialdom reflects a profound growth in NGOs, the third sector, as some call it. As Robert Putnam discovered in the field of local government in Italy, the best predictor of governmental success was the strength and density of a region's civic associations.
I believe our borders should be open. But if it is not politically acceptable for now, Europe should at least open up a legal route for people from developing countries to come work here. Over time, hopefully, we can move to a position where borders are completely open. Persuading skeptics won't be easy. That's why I think the argument for free migration has to be made at several levels. A principled case, it increases freedom and reduces injustice. A humanitarian case, it helps people much poorer than us. An economic case, it makes us richer. and a pragmatic case, it is inevitable, so it is in everyone's interest to make the best of it. Freedom of movement is not just a matter of human rights and international solidarity. It is in our self-interest. Opening our borders may seem unrealistic. But so too, once did abolish slavery or giving women the vote. Campaigning for people's right to vote freely is a noble cause for our time. I believe our borders should be open. But if it is not politically acceptable for now, Europe should at least open up a legal route for people from developing countries to come work here. Over time, hopefully, we can move to a position where borders are completely open. Persuading skeptics won't be easy. That's why I think the argument for free migration has to be made at several levels. A principled case, it increases freedom and reduces injustice. A humanitarian case, it helps people much poorer than us. An economic case, it makes us richer. And a pragmatic case, it is inevitable, so it is in everyone's interest to make the best of it. Freedom of movement is not just a matter of human rights and international solidarity. It is in our self-interest. Opening our borders may seem unrealistic. But so too, once did abolish slavery or giving women the vote. Campaigning for people's right to vote freely is a noble cause for our time.
If you like our video, kindly subscribe our channel and also press below bell icon. Thank you.